Hey guys, I'm Uwa. I'm a first year medical student. No, well, I don't know, maybe I am. Hey everyone, I'm Uwa. I've just finished my first year at the University of Nottingham, so I feel like I'm in a pretty good place to tell you all the mistakes that I made and to tell you what to avoid in your first year at any medical school. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Click subscribe to join the gang and enjoy the video. Don't forget to leave a like. Let's get on with it. There are a lot of things that we do wrong as medical students that ruin our experience. It's not everyone, but I'd say the vast majority just do the wrong things, just ruin the experience, and I was part of that majority. I won't say I ruined my experience, but there were some things which I'm going to tell you about that I just wish I did differently. Overall, I still enjoyed first year. I absolutely loved it, and my hard work and my work ethic has paid off. But yeah, just listen to what I've got to say and you'll know where I'm getting at. Okay, so the first two things that I'm going to start with are things that I did know, things that I were told, but things that I didn't listen to, and I thought I knew better, so I did my own thing. I am telling you now, from someone who's been there and done that, don't do your own thing, listen to this advice. First of all, the methods that you use at college will not, and I repeat that, they will not work for you at med school. And second of all, you don't need to know everything. You've got 4 more years of med school and you've got the rest of your career to learn everything. For now, just stick to the learning objectives. Stick to the things they're gonna test you and examine you on. Those are things that are important, and your lecturers are technically your examiners. They write your exam questions, and if you've got any written questions, they mark those too. So anything that they emphasize, any specific examples they focus on, make note of that, because they will very likely test you on that. And if you pay attention to those things and you revise those things, you'll get yourself easy marks in exams. So moral of the story is you don't need to know everything. Just make sure you learn what's important. Stick to the LOs and stick to whatever key things that your lecturers emphasize on. And often as well, they will just say, and these are my favorite things to take notes of during a lecture, but they will be like, this is just a bit of extra information. Or they'll say, you don't actually need to learn this, or you don't need to know this. If they say that, they mean it. Don't try and be a smart ass and try and learn it anyway. Accept what they've said and move on to the next thing. Okay, so back to the methods used at college not working for you at university and at med school. It's true, they really won't work. You need to employ active recall methods, which a lot of you probably do at college. I did that at college. The way you do it needs to change. So for example, with psychology A-level, people often say it's a memory game because you need to pretty much memorize everything. So in psychology level, I would memorize pretty much every single page of the revision guide and then regurgitate it in exam question. But in med school, you can't do that. There is way too much content for you to learn every single lecture slide, or for you to learn all your notes word for word, or dare I say it, you learn every single page on a textbook word for word. In med school, there's no revision guide. There's no, what's the word I'm looking for? Specification. There's nothing summarized for you. You need to summarize it yourself. And realistically, think about all the content there is, and there's a lot. You aren't going to want to make 150 flashcards for each lecture. When it comes to revising them, you're not going to want to revise from lots of different sets, each with 150 flashcards. It's just not going to happen. You're going to put off it. So you want to keep your flashcards, I'll come back to this later, but you want to keep your flashcards short, concise, to the points, what's important, and just stick to the learning objectives. Honestly, just stick to them. Okay, so something else that I wish that I knew is that everything will actually make sense eventually. Everything but embryology, that is. Embryology will never ever make sense. Like, tell me, how am I meant to understand that this will become a baby, a human? I don't get it. Like, I really don't. I actually don't think I know one med student who does enjoy it or who does understand it. But for everything else, it all will make sense and it all will come together eventually. For example, in your very first few weeks, like at Nottingham, in semester 1, we learn like the science behind medicine, and the first few weeks are very like science heavy, so it's a lot of biomed, a lot of confusing and boring stuff, and none of it makes sense. But later on in the year you understand the importance of that. For example, you might come across intercalating agents which like incorporate themselves in the DNA, and you hear the word methotrexate, which at the time means nothing to you, but then like halfway through semester 2, when you've done about cytotoxic anti-cancer chemotherapy or anti-cancer treatments, and you hear methotrexate again. I think I said the word in 2 different ways. Anyway, you'll hear the drug name again, and then you'll see the importance of it and the importance of learning about intercalating agents towards the start of the year. The next thing I wish I knew is that there is more, and there is so much more to histology than pink and purple screenshots. Looking at your histology notes for revision isn't enough. That's what I would do to revise histology, and I'd give that the least time because I found it the easiest or the nicest thing. But when it came to exam questions, tell me why I was struggling to identify a goblet cell from a fat cell. Make it make sense. So you actually have to understand the theory behind the cell structures and behind whatever it is you're looking at. So for example, you know, somewhere in the bone is going to be a growth plate, and you're going to see different I can't remember what the words are, different proliferating zones. You need to know, you need to understand what's happening at each stage of those zones. As pretty as the pictures may be, there's a lot more to them. The next thing I wish I knew, which I had been told before, and like lecturers do say it a lot, but again, I just thought I knew better. But honestly, I did not. I knew nothing, okay? Absolutely nothing. But the next thing is, don't make lecture notes for anatomy. Like, just don't. And by lecture notes I mean just don't have a page full of notes. Anatomy learning should be interactive. You're learning about the human body, and fortunately enough you've got your own body to learn and to practice with. Practice surface anatomy on yourself. This is your jugular notch, I think it is anyway. Biceps brachii, triceps brachii, olecranon, anterior compartment of the forearm, stuff like that. Practice it on yourself. Make it as interactive as possible. Use flashcards, use active recall methods, move around your room, have posters around your room, have things to look at, but don't just sit there and make lecture notes. You also want to find really good resources for anatomy. I will do a whole other video on this about the best resources I found for first year and pretty much pre-clinical years. But you want to make sure that you are using good resources, and you are also looking at pro sections and specimens as well as pretty pictures in a book. Because yes, it's nice to look at blue veins and red arteries, but when it comes to your anatomy spotter, your practical exam, the veins and the arteries are not going to be blue and red. They're going to be brown and yellow. You're going to get them mixed up between each other, mixed up between tendons, mixed up between nerves, and some of them might even blend into muscles. So you need to make sure you're familiarising yourself with what these features look like in a real cadaver and a real specimen. And again, just to emphasise the point of don't make lecture notes, is you really won't learn or remember everything you need to from sitting there and just copying from lecture slides and a textbook. In fact, I don't recommend a textbook for anatomy. There is a lot to learn with anatomy, and don't forget you'll be learning physiology as well and the science behind medicine. So you want to make it as simple for yourself as possible. How I recommend you do this is by starting at the bigger picture, as silly as it sounds, and then once you've got a general idea for everything, then hone in on the little bits of detail. When you look at the upper limb, focus on the main actions of like the rotator cuffs, or the main actions of the anterior forearm, the anterior arm, which intrinsic muscles do what in the hand, stuff like that. Something else that I recommend is that you learn mnemonics or rhymes to help you remember these things for anatomy. So for example, BBC would be the flexors of the arm, or you'll have things which you'll never forget, like C35, keep the diaphragm alive, which means the phrenic nerve innervates diaphragm. The next thing is something which I wish that I just honestly, I don't know, took advantage of more, or actually like adhered to within my first few weeks, and that is med school should be part of your life, but med school should not be your life. I have always planned my life around revision, and for A-levels, yeah, I completely advise that. Do your revision first and then have a part-time job. Do your revision first and then on the weekends go out and have a good time. But at med school, you're pretty much an adult, you're at uni, it's a very social and it's an incredible experience. You should plan, oh, it sounds bad, but you should plan med school around your life. So I'm not saying completely abandon your responsibilities and completely abandon studying, but to avoid yourself facing burnout, you should make time to socialise, get involved in societies, do what you can, but also still revise. Like, what I'm trying to say is the mistake I made is that I turned medical school into a full-time job, And on top of that full-time job, I try to do overtime, and that just isn't it. Like, that isn't how you succeed in life. Even as a doctor, you are a doctor, but a doctor isn't your life. Being a doctor is part of your life. You still have other things. There are things you did before med school that you should carry on doing now. The things which make you a person, carry on with those. You don't want to be that student who looks back in third year and thinks, oh crap, I didn't enjoy my first 2 years. Because they're going to be probably the most free time you've got throughout the whole of med school. Kind of like leading on from that, enjoy your freshers experience if you do get a freshers. We didn't quite get a freshers, but we were still going out and still doing stuff. And once lectures started, I was like, I'm not going out anymore. I'm only gonna do things on Saturday, on Friday evenings, and that's it. And like, that just wasn't a good idea. Like, every time someone was like, should we meet up for plans? I'd be like, oh no, I can't do something on Tuesday evening, I need to revise for like 5 hours. I wouldn't say that, but that's what I'd do instead. So like, I'd do a full day of lectures, and then I'd set myself so many hours of revision in the evening, and I just didn't need to do that at the beginning of the term. Enjoy your uni experience and enjoy the first few weeks. Like, I'm all about, and I massively stress the importance of like working hard from the start, but you need to understand there's a difference between working hard and just wasting your time. In the first few weeks of med school, you are not going to understand anything, I'm not gonna lie, like, and you aren't gonna understand how to make notes, what's the most effective way to learn, and things like that. So I recommend in the first week and a half of lectures, don't actually make notes. Like, just understand the course, understand the way it's taught to you, and try and get a grasp of how you think you'll best learn this information. Take advantage of older years, your peer mentors, your medic parents, talk to them and see what they think is the best way to learn. You're just gonna make literally rubbish notes, and then you're gonna spend your weekend rewatching lectures if you don't understand them, and then remaking notes. So yeah, lay off writing notes like the first week and a half. Also, you're gonna end up remaking your notes a million times throughout first year. I think now, all from like revising from my summatives, I found out how I best learn, and that really is from flashcards. But of course, it differs for like each different aspects of the course. And to be honest, I actually do recommend that you don't make notes at all during med school. Like, you've probably heard this a lot, you've probably seen it. And again, I thought I knew better, so I was like, I'm gonna make notes still, I wanna learn everything. But no, cut out the middleman and just go straight to your flashcards. That's how you're gonna learn. During lectures, have Anki up or have Quizlet and get your flashcards made then. You're gonna make sure your flashcards are short, concise, straight to the point, stick to learning objectives, and have like 1 sentence or 2 sentences on the reverse side of the flashcard, and have a really snappy and really straightforward question. Just make it as easy for yourself as you can. So that's the end of the video, and that is all the mistakes that I made and things that I wish I knew during my first year of medical school. Please don't be like me, please take on my advice and don't make the mistakes that I make. I just wasted a lot of time doing stuff, missed out on opportunities, and yeah, I just didn't need to. Good luck to anyone who is starting med school, considering applying. So far, I 100% recommend the experience. You will love it. If you did enjoy this video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe to my new channel to join the gang. Turn on post notifications to never miss an upload. And that's all I have to say. So I will see you guys in my next video. Take care. Bye.
Maybe I'm selfish. I told you to myself I can't help it.